Part 41. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 401. It's okay, everything outside has been resolved. Didn't Jin Long come over and say something? Shen Yun quickly greeted his family members who were still sitting on the ground. Having said it, we just want to see if there are any aftershocks from this earthquake. Anyway, we have to take the children to play, so we will stay in the valley, Yang Xiaoko said with a smile. They cultivators don't worry when it shakes. Because of the protection of the formation, there will be no trees or gravel falling in the mountains. However, the shaking still has some impact on ordinary people. Just now, a few children were scared to cry. This time playing in the valley slowly made me feel better. Okay, Shen Yun didn't force it. Come and sit for a while. Jin Long said he would go check on Shen Hong and the others. He should be back soon. Yang Kankan pulled Shen Yun, who had frightened her just now, but when she saw Shen Yun, she finally felt relieved. It's letting go. I sent a message to them, but they didn't reply. I don't know what the situation is like over there. There is nothing to worry about since there is a formation at home. It should be fine. Your brothers and the others are quite powerful now. Yang Kankan glanced at Yang Xiaoko over there. Fortunately, the old lady didn't hear her, otherwise she would have been worried again. As he was talking, he saw a paper crane fly in. As soon as Shen Yun stretched out his hand, the paper crane flew directly into Shen Yun's hand, and then an anxious voice came out, "Sister, you guys come to town quickly, something happened at my aunt's house." It was the voice of the Golden Dragon. Not only Shen Yun heard it, but also other people in the family. The two old men stood up anxiously. What happened? Even a kid like Jin Long can't explain clearly, Yang Xiaoko said anxiously. Grandma, don't worry, I'll go over and take a look first. Shen Yun was about to go directly. No, I'm with you. As soon as Jin Long said this, Shen Kuliang had a bad feeling in his heart, and this time he stood up and swayed a bit. Shen Yun quickly went to help the person. Grandpa, don't worry. I'll take you over and have a look. I'm sure you'll be fine. Let's go for a walk. The eldest and second uncle also stood up anxiously. Go, there is no danger at home anyway, we will take care of the children at home. Seeing the anxious look of the elders, several sisters-in-law quickly stood up and each took their own children. Let's go, hurry up. Yang Xiaoko took the apron and didn't bother to pack it away. Third brother, you two are watching the children at home. Your eldest, second brother and I, and they can just follow Yunyun. Shen Kuliang looked at how if they left, there would only be a few women and children left at home. If there was nothing he could do about anything, he quickly stopped Shen Liman and his wife who were about to move. Yang Kankan looked at his nieces and nephews, and then at his own family. Okay, parents, you go over there. If anything happens, send a message to the family. If it doesn't work, just bring sister and the others back. Anyway, the family is here, their house is ready. Okay, Shen Kuliang nodded quickly. Seeing that they had agreed, Shen Yun didn't say anything else. He took out his flying carpet and everyone who wanted to go sat on it. Shen Yun controlled the flying carpet and walked quickly towards the town. The situation in the town was much worse than on the mountain. Many mud houses that were in disrepair fell down in the earthquake. There are also many ordinary people who are injured, and there will be many cultivators and ordinary people helping to rescue them. This situation made Shen Kuliang and the others even more worried. They were protected by formations on the mountain. They didn't feel this way. Now when we compare them, we feel how good their lives are. Yunyun, speed up. Yang Xiaoko pulled Shen Yun and said. Shen Yun held his trembling hand and increased his speed. Before reaching Shen's house, Shen Yun felt the aura of the Golden Dragon and turned directly over there. I saw several collapsed houses in the distance, with many people surrounding them. Shen Yun's heart suddenly lifted when he saw Jin Long hugging someone with sharp eyes. When they got to the ground, the family members hurriedly ran over there. Shen Yun went over and saw his uncle Huang Song lying in Jinlong's arms. His face was pale this time, and he was breathing heavily, relying on Jinlong's aura. How could this happen? Aren't you at work? Why are you here and you will retire in 2 years? Yang Xiaoko and Shen Quiliang were completely stunned. When they arrived at Jinlong's side, they rushed towards him. The old couple couldn't help but shed tears. Flowed down. The two people did not get an answer. This situation was something Shen Yun did not expect. Have you informed my aunt and cousin? At this moment, several elders in the family were panicking. Shen Yun looked at his uncle and saw that he was seriously injured and had passed out. If it weren't for Jin Long's aura of death Reiki, the person has long since left. It's notified. Huang Bin and I have given instructions. He is helping to rescue people and should be here soon. My aunt works in the clinic. There are many injured people today. I don't know where to treat the injured. My uncle's colleagues have sent people to go there. Found it. Jin Long immediately gave the answer. Send the person home first, and I'll go find my aunt. Shen Yun made a decision immediately. He could tell what the situation was just by looking around. The house collapsed. There were sounds of crying and howling coming from several places around, and not far from here there was a man lying motionless, with no one around him. It seems that my uncle became like this because he was trying to save people. That's right, send the person back. You can't leave the child here. Second son, come here and carry him. Shen Quiliang wiped away his tears and began to greet his son. Grandpa, let me do it. Jin Long stopped the work directly. Several elders could not stand firmly at this moment. How could they still have the strength to carry people on their backs? He was not so particular and just carried people on his back. His aura was still there. Being transported towards the back. Let's go, let's keep up. The old couple supported each other, and the uncle and his wife behind them did the same. Jin Long, please take care of Grandpa and the others, and I'll bring Aunt back. Okay. Jin Long nodded, taking care of a few people without any problems. Shen Yun flew directly into the air, his consciousness spread out, and he found the place where Shen Huiyan was within a short while. Auntie, there's something going on at home. I'll take you back. Shen Yun landed directly next to Shen Huiyan. Hey, Yun Yun, why are you here? I'm busy. If you have anything to say, there are few nurses in our town. I'm too busy right now, Shen Huiyan said while stopping the bleeding of the wounded. Aunt, my uncle rescued someone who was injured, and the situation is not very good now. I will come and take you back, Shen Yun said tactfully. Shen Huiyan was stunned for a moment, and the clip in his hand fell to the ground. Head nurse, how are you? Shen Huiyan fell directly into Shen Yun's arms. The people who were busy next to him were so anxious that they all gathered around. The age of rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 402. Chapter 402, 402, Regret. Shen Yun directly stimulated him with his spiritual energy, and Shen Huiyan slowly woke up in his arms. When I opened my eyes, I saw several concerned colleagues surrounding me. You guys are watching the situation here. Something happened in my family. My niece and I went back to take a look, Shen Huiyan said weakly. Excuse me, everyone, I'll take my aunt away first. Shen Yun nodded to the people next to him, then pulled them and flew up. We arrived at Wang's house soon. Huang Bin has arrived at home and is waiting for Shen Huiyan. Old Huang. As soon as Shen Huiyan landed, he staggered and ran towards the house. How is the situation? Shen Yun asked Jin Long standing outside. The body can no longer accept the spiritual energy. It's just a matter of time. This was not only the first time Shen Yun encountered such a thing, but also the first time Jin Long encountered such a thing in this world. After saying that, both of them were silent for a moment. Even if the cultivator goes against the will, he is still powerless when it comes to human life. Shen Yun wiped his face, turned around and walked towards the house. "Aunt, does uncle have any other relatives? Let's go over and invite them. We should seize the time to see him one last time. Your uncle also has an elder brother. He is in the next town. You can take Binbin over and invite his uncle to come over." Shen Huan wiped his tears, glanced at Huang Song who was lying on the bed and said sadly, "Binbin, go ahead. Your sister doesn't know the place. We still have to deal with the rest of the matter. It's also appropriate to invite your uncle here after all." Shen Kuliang is more determined than Yang Xiaoko, who burst into tears. "The current situation, it's already like this, but things still have to be done." Huang Bin wiped his tears and stood up directly. "Grandma, look at my mother. Yunyun and I will go and come back." Shen Yun directly summoned Qing Feng, and the two of them disappeared into the sky in a flash. When we arrived at Uncle Wang's house, the shock had little impact on the place. The old man obviously did not expect that something would happen to his brother. When Huang Bin told the story, the other party was stunned for a moment, and then 2 lines of tears fell down. "Old woman, go and call the children, Binbin and I will go there first." Uncle Huang directly grabbed Huang Bin's hand. The 3 people returned to the town here. Huang Song died in the line of duty, but the town was busy at the moment. Only 2 representatives from his unit came over. By the time the funeral was completed, it was already 3 days later. Human life is really fragile. If I didn't practice. Standing in front of Huang Song's grave, Huang Bin said sadly. It was not just his father who died this time, but 2 others, both of whom were colleagues. There are more ordinary people, especially those in the mountains, and the construction of houses is generally poor. The impact of this earthquake is really not small. This is what happened. You have to be well. Look at your aunt and cheer up." Shen Hong went up and patted Huang Bin on the shoulder. "Let's go. I was ready as early as the day I became a public security officer." Huang Bin lowered his head and said with a wry smile. He turned around and supported the haggard Shen Huan and followed him towards home. "Huan, why don't you follow your mother to live in the mountains for a while?" Yang Xiaoko pulled Shen Huan, who had lost a lot of weight in the past 2 days, and said, "Mom, I'm fine. I've been busy these days. I've taken several days off and will go back to work tomorrow." Shen Huan cheered up and said, "How can I trust you to go to work with your health like this? How about we resign and stop working, and my mother will take care of you?" Yang Xiaoko said distressedly. "Mom, it's great to have you, but I don't want to rest at home. I'll have random thoughts when I rest. Don't worry, when I work for a few more years and retire, I will definitely bother you every day." Shen Huan was told by Yang Xiaoko. "I felt warm in my heart, but seeing that my younger brothers and sisters were all in a neat family, if I had been touched by the scene in the past, I would probably feel even more uncomfortable by then." "Mom, just go with Grandma." Huang Bin also persuaded him. There are traces of his father in this house. He went to work in the past, and he was really afraid that something would happen if he left her alone at home. "Okay, I've made my decision. Don't try to persuade me. Just do whatever you have to do. Let's all get busy. I'll take a rest and go to work tomorrow." After speaking, Shen Huan tilted his head and lay down. I closed my eyes on the bed. Looking at this situation, everyone in the room could only slowly retreat, leaving only Yang Xiaoko to accompany them. Bin, what are you going to do? With your mother's current situation, you won't be able to go out and come back once a week like before." Uncle Shen went out and started to ask Huang Bin. "Uncle, don't worry. My application for transfer back has been submitted. The higher UPS will consider my family's situation and will definitely approve it. I will be back in the evening." Huang Bin has matured a lot in recent years. Already arranged things. Now that Huang Song is gone, he has matured instantly and has become the backbone of the family. "Okay, if anything happens at home, you can come to us directly. My uncle and uncle can't do it. Your third uncle, brother, and sister are all a family. We will help and support each other in the future, Shen Libo continued to explain. Don't worry, I'll definitely come to you if I need anything, Huang Bin responded. Finally, the elders made explanations again and again before leaving the Huang family. Yang Xiaoko stayed alone with Shen Huiyan for a few days. The others went directly back to the mountain. After several days of rescue at the foot of the mountain, the situation had been maintained, so there was no need for Shen Yun and the others to stay for rescue. When I went back, I also visited Baiyun village. The village is next to the mountain I rented. Due to the influence of the formation, there was no serious situation. Even in the field under the mountain, there was a slight damage due to rocks falling from the mountain next to it, but it was still repaired within an acceptable range. If we had picked up Huan and the others earlier, this incident would not have happened, the old man said regretfully. In the past, he agreed with his children to work hard in their careers, but this time he felt that life and health were the most important thing regardless of whether they had a career or not. My aunt and uncle are both responsible people. They like their careers. When my uncle was so seriously ill, they insisted on going to work every day. They both wanted to stay at their posts until they retired. Who could have imagined that this would happen? What's going on? Shen Yun said with a sigh. The defensive magic weapon I gave him has expired. This is not the first time that my uncle has been in danger before. It was also because I did not go to see the two of them during this period and did not discover the failure of the defensive magic weapon in time. It seems that you still need to find some good materials to refine defensive magic weapons, otherwise the ordinary magic weapons you refine can only withstand a few dangers. Hey, you two are just too stubborn. In the future, if you have nothing to do, go see your aunt more often and interrupt her. She will feel better. Shen Kuliang handed over his hands to several children. Grandpa, don't worry. From now on, I will go to my aunt and them when I have nothing to do. It will happen that I will go to the store in the town right away. I will stay at my aunt's house, Shen Jian volunteered. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 403. Chapter 403, 403, Urgent Marriage. Okay, you are all good boys, Shen Kuliang nodded. The family returned to the valley again, and the valley that had been quiet for a few days gradually became full of sounds again. Sister, I will go back to practice first. The golden dragon followed him for a few days. Shen Yun was originally thinking about the five-clawed golden dragon around his neck and wanted him to come back, but he refused, so he also followed him for the past few days. Busy before and after. Go, you've worked hard these past few days. What did the family say? Jin Long waved his hands and said nonchalantly, said hello to the others, and flew directly back to the tree house on the mountain. The eldest uncle, the second uncle, and his wife had no cultivation, and because they were old, they had been through a lot these past few days. Not long after they came back, they all went back to their rooms to rest. There were only a few tired children left in the valley. Grandpa, let's go, I'll go fishing with you, and I'll give it to my aunt tomorrow. Shen Yun took the initiative to pull Shen Kuliang, who was sitting there silently, and said, Okay, let's go. The old man didn't want to go at first, but after hearing what Shen Yun said, he went back to the house to get the fishing rod. The riverside has been bustling for several days. The old man was accompanied by someone, and Shen Yun went to do other things. The special department has already taken care of the magma. A fence has been set up halfway up the mountain. All warnings have been taken care of. There are also dedicated people responsible for safety and persuasion nearby. The training seats prepared by the special department below are already filled with many people. They all gathered from the surrounding cities in the past few days. It's not that no one tried to climb over the railing, but after walking up for a while, they themselves couldn't stand the burning, so they retreated obediently. Shen Yun walked around for a while, exercised his consciousness on the top of the mountain, and then left here. Spiritual consciousness training is not a matter of 1 or 2 days. Shen Yun plans to come here every day and make full use of this function before the little goldfish inside is taken away. Now she wants to go back to see how the spiritual plants grown in the space are doing. She has not had time to do so in the past few days. There is news from Zhangji that the wounded on their side are almost recovered, and the elixirs on Shen Yun's side are still intact. No progress yet. After returning home, Shen Yun went straight into the space. The spiritual plant that was originally about 10 centimeters had grown a lot. Shen Yun compared it and found that it was almost reaching his knees. It can be collected and used. Shen Yun looked at the 4 or 5 rare ones, and it wouldn't be a problem to get 2 of them to make elixirs. I made a prompt decision and picked up 2 of them. I got other spiritual plants and started making elixirs. This practice lasted a day and a night, and finally I refined more than a dozen spirit melting pills, which were enough for use, and I still had a few spare ones. Shen Yun sent a message to Yan Han when he got out of the space. He asked where the injured was recuperating and that he would find time to send the medicine there. After it was over, Shen Yun went directly to the valley. Yang Xiaoko was also driven back by Shen Huiyan. She couldn't do it alone, and the old lady didn't have anyone to accompany her there, so she was worried. I'm going to see my aunt. Is there anything I need to bring at home? Shen Yun asked. Take me with you. Yang Xiaoko came over and said. Grandma, you just came back. Just stay at home for a few days. Shen Yun stopped the person directly. If anyone in the family felt sorry for her aunt the most, it was definitely her grandma. She was there to accompany her aunt these days and rest herself. No, let's have a good rest at home. You don't even want me to go. Okay, bring some food to your aunt. Yang Xiaoko was unhappy, but her family didn't agree with her going, so she had to give up and turned around to bring a big bag of things to Shen Huiyan. Others heard this and took out the things they had prepared. Although the family had done this action several times, they still worked hard to feed their aunt and Huang Bin. Shen Yun took a large bag of things and set off. When he arrived in town, the door of Wang's house was locked, so Shen Yun went directly to where Shen Huiyan worked. Why are you here? I'm fine. Don't be so nervous. Shen Huiyan's face looked a little haggard, but he looked in good spirits. My grandma asked me to bring you some delicious food. Why didn't you rest today? Shen Yun asked with a smile. I have nothing to do at home, so I came over to help. I'm not tired. Shen Huiyan also showed a little smile. In the past, when Lao Huang was still there, the two of them could still talk after work. Now that they are resting, Binbin occasionally she had to go to work, so she came over to work. It was just a little busy and she could put aside the things in her mind. Auntie, this will be too much for you, how about I take you to live in the mountains for a while? Shen Yun invited again. Shen Huiyan waved his hand. Forget it, let's go there when I retire. I am a nurse and I still know my physical condition. I went in and told them that I won't work overtime today, let's go back. As he said this, he said hello to the people inside. They saw that Shen Huiyan was accompanied by Shen Yun, so they agreed directly. The two of them went home and packed up the food they had brought. Shen Yun gave Shen Huiyan an enhanced version of the amulet. She specially went to ask Yao Yang to get it. The effect has been improved and it is more resistant to stress than her previous one. Stronger. I still have the one you gave to my aunt last time. When Shen Huiyan saw Shen Yun giving her another piece of jade, he quickly refused and took out the piece of jade hanging around his neck. The piece of jade for my aunt was okay, and the defense numbers on it had not been touched yet. However, in order to prevent something like this from happening to her uncle, Shen Yun still gave her something and told her to keep it with her at all times. You, a little girl, don't even bring so many things. I'm already old, so it's really a waste to bring so many beautiful things. Shen Huan pinched the jade earrings and said, Auntie, if you don't want to go to the mountains with us, you might encounter something wrong outside. Wearing this will protect you if there is danger. Shen Yun explained its use. Shen Huan stared at the earrings in his hand with a regretful expression on his face. If Lao Huang had this thing, wouldn't he? Thinking of this, she shook her head again. Everything happened, so don't think about it so much. Shen Yun stayed with Shen Huan at Wang's house for a day, and then walked out after she fell asleep at night. My aunt has been sad and hurt these days. I will continue to give her another Guben Pewen pill. You can also comfort her. In 2 years, my aunt will retire and she will probably be even more lonely. You should also get married. Then give it to your aunt. She is also worried about giving birth to a grandson or granddaughter, and letting her take care of it. Shen Yun, who had never expressed his opinion on their marriage, couldn't help but start urging the marriage. Well, I thought about this. If someone introduces me, I won't refuse. I will go and have a look. Huang Bin is no longer as opposed to it as before. End of this chapter. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 404. Okay, we are all in the town. If anything happens, just ask. Don't worry, I can still be polite to you. There is really nothing going on these days, and my mother and I live a relatively simple life. I will definitely not be polite when I need help when I get married in the future, Huang Bin said with a smile. Okay, you guys have a rest first. I should go back to do business, otherwise grandma won't be able to sleep. Shen Yun did not stay in the town, and went back after talking to Huang Bin for a while. Sure enough, the lights of the old couple in the valley are still on. Shen Yun went straight over. He was still asleep. Seeing Shen Yun, he was pleasantly surprised. You're back just now. Have you eaten? Grandma will cook something for you. Yang Xiaoko stood up immediately. No grandma, I'll eat something with her at my aunt's house. My aunt is in a good condition today. I brought her all the things and she had a lot to eat at night. Don't worry, have a good rest. If it doesn't work, I'll go over tomorrow and have a look. Home there are so many people, you can ask anyone to take you there, Chen Yun said, holding Yang Xiaoko's hand. Okay, I'm relieved now. I was worried that she wouldn't be able to eat. It would be great if she could eat. I'll go over and interrupt her in the next few days. Hey. The old lady sighed. She only found out in the past few days that there was still something wrong. The son-in-law had cancer. If they hadn't secretly given him the medicine, he would have been gone a long time ago. It was a prophet after so many years. It's just a pity that he was too young and left so early. It's a pity. Okay, everyone has their own destiny, so don't think too much about it. You've been running outside all day. Go back and rest quickly. The old man began to drive people away. Okay, grandparents, you guys need to rest first. I'll go back first. Shen Yun went back to his room directly. A paper crane was obediently parked in the air at the door of the room. Shen Yun stretched out his hand and the paper crane flew down. The severe cold has sent word that the injured have returned to the capital to recuperate. They have also returned, and now there are professional forces guarding the border on their behalf. Then I will go to Beijing tomorrow to deliver the elixirs, and by the way, I will also give out the beauty elixirs that I didn't give out last time. When I come back, I guess the power equipment over there has been fixed, and I have to fix the formation outside, otherwise they won't be able to open the formation and add the equipment to the magic eye. This happened last time. I made an appointment with the person in charge over there. Thinking about it all, the most important thing is to practice. After thinking about it, Shen Yun went straight into the space and started practicing. Early the next morning, after saying hello to the hard-working Jin Long and then to his family, Shen Yun set off. I have been to Beijing many times, and the atmosphere used to be quite relaxed. I don't know if it's because of border issues, but the atmosphere on the streets is not so good. When we arrived at the special department, we found that people here were also in a hurry. Shen Yun felt something was wrong. Uncle, what happened recently? Why do I feel that people on the street are in a hurry and have serious faces? It's not a big deal. I just crossed the Golden Core Tribulation in the severe cold 2 days ago. It's not far away and I crossed it on the nearby mountain. Everyone in the city saw it. Some people were scared and some were envious. They all want to reach this level of cultivation quickly, so they all rush to get things done as soon as possible and practice cultivation quickly, the old man said with a smile. He was very happy to see the situation. Shen Yun thought about it for a long time, but he didn't expect it to be this. Sure enough, the people in the capital focused on something different from that around Baiyun village. People there had seen it, and they had seen it. Shen Yun had never seen such a positive situation. Woolen cloth. This is a good imagination. I thought something happened. Shen Yun breathed a sigh of relief. Is it freezing in there? Here he is here, the uncle nodded. Shen Yun said goodbye to him and walked directly inside. Most of the people he saw were unfamiliar faces. The people who worked together before were either out in the field this time, or they were transferred directly to the branch. Those in Beijing and city there are fewer people. The severe cold is still in the previous office. As soon as Shen Yun met the person, he saw a layer of spiritual energy floating on his body. It seemed that he had just been promoted and had not yet stabilized his cultivation level. Congratulations, you've been promoted to Golden Elixir, Shen Yun said with a smile. Yan Han waved his hand. I'm far worse than you. Don't say that. You have defeated yourself. Don't get involved with me. By the way, how are the wounded people doing lately? I have already mastered the elixirs. This time I used all the spiritual plants at the bottom of the box. Hey, I prepared the credit book for you. Yan Han directly handed over a document bag. That's not what I meant. Shen Yun didn't come here to take credit. I know, I'm afraid you won't accept it. If this is not done for you in advance, it can't be changed. Just take a look. Yan Han stuffed it directly. Shen Yun still didn't know what couldn't be changed. When he opened it, he saw that it was the hilltop that his family rented. He had originally rented it for 70 years, but now it was directly allocated to his family, and it was a private place. This is quite considerate and can be used. Thank you, I like this reward very much. Shen Yun put the things away directly. Let's go over and see the wounded. They must be very happy to hear the news. Yan Han put away the work at hand and walked outside first. The wounded were all recuperated and hospitalized in the hospital. This place was still a bit familiar. Isn't it the same hospital I came to twice when I was in college? The location was still very remote. But it is indeed a good place to cultivate yourself. The people who chose this place before had good taste. Yan Han must have come here often. These dozen wounded people all knew him. When they saw him this time, they all smiled and congratulated him, but the envy on their faces could not be concealed. I have good news for you all. This is Comrade Shen Yun, who you have met before. Yan Han introduced directly. I know each other, my savior. Everyone was deeply impressed by Shen Yun. This girl said that she would save them and help them repair their spiritual roots. However, it had only been so long, and after thinking about it, she probably didn't have any results yet. No one dared to look at Shen Yun expectantly, for fear that placing all their hopes on Shen Yun would put too much pressure on her. Comrade Shen Yun is here to see us. We are all doing well. If we exercise here, we will be able to return to the team soon. You don't have to worry about us, the leading captain said with a smile. I'm not just here to see you. This is the medicine I brought for everyone. Shen Yun didn't show off and took out the bottle containing the elixir. Have you prepared the medicine in such a short time? Everyone became excited when they heard this. They looked at Shen Yun with hope, hoping that she could give her a detailed introduction. Yes, this is the best medicine for spiritual roots. The spirit melting pill can not only repair the damage to your danshan, but may also reduce at least one of your weak spiritual roots and improve your qualifications. Shen Yun carefully introduced the pill. The effect of medicine. The age of rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 405. The people below were all pleasantly surprised by Shen Yun's words. They had been prepared to do this for the rest of their lives. If they could finally repair their spiritual roots, they would be very lucky. Now that they heard something, they could not only repair the injuries on their spiritual roots, but also improve their qualifications. For a moment, they were all a little glad that they were injured this time. This was a blessing in disguise. Is everything you said true? No matter what, we thank you, the captain said excitedly, and the people behind him also followed suit. Yan Han didn't expect that the medicine Shen Yun brought out was so good. It looked like it had indeed taken out all the spiritual plants at the bottom of the box. Sure enough, what was given from above was never as good as Shen Yun's contribution. These people are basically cultivators of 3 spiritual roots and 2 spiritual roots. This time, after improving their essence through the spirit melting pill, the country will have a group of masters in the future, which is very good for the security of the country. Yan Han couldn't help but admire Shen Yun's face when he saw that there was no strange color on Shen Yun's face when he took out such a precious elixir. This thing is something that everyone is fighting for wherever it is placed. Shen Yun would not be unaware of the preciousness of this thing. Yan Han looked at Shen Yun with more and more admiration. The effect is just like this, but let me state in advance that I have not tried this elixir. Whether the specific effect is what I said depends on the effect you have after taking it. The spiritual plants used to refine this elixir are very precious. There is nothing extra. Which one of you is willing to be the first to test the medicine? Although he said that the effect is very good, and the medicine records left by his ancestors also have this effect, Shen Yun still wants to emphasize the possible situation. No one hesitated when they heard what Shen Yun said. As long as there is a chance, who doesn't want to become stronger? Everyone raised their hands to indicate that they should try the medicine first. Captain Yan, how do you decide on this matter? Shen Yun couldn't decide who would take the medicine first. Wait a moment, I'll go over and discuss it with them. Yan Han looked at the people who had signed up enthusiastically. They are not afraid of sacrifices, but there is no need for unnecessary sacrifices. Just one person can test the medicine. As for whether the effect is what Shen Yun said, he can only say that everything has risks. Please. Shen Yun made a gesture, indicating that they should discuss it first. Shen Yun walked out of the room directly. He had been to this place several times, always in a hurry. Only when he came this time did he realize that there was a hotel not far away from here. A small aura. The aura is very gentle, which is very suitable for the cultivation of the wounded. Shen Yun was not kept waiting for long. Yan Han came out to call for help after a while. You've made your decision, come in. Okay, who is it? Shen Yun was a little curious. It's Captain Su, Yan Han said with a normal expression. Shen Yun nodded and said she understood. She was Yan Han's brother-in-law. She knew this. Shen Yun didn't waste any time when he went in. He took out a pill and handed it to the other party. With teammates, doctors, and nurses watching, he sat down and stuffed the elixir into his mouth. The process may be a bit hard, so stick to Yuanyi and keep a clear head, Shen Yun reminded. The other party nodded, closed his eyes and started practicing. The surrounding spiritual energy slowly penetrated into his body. It can be clearly seen that because of the injury to his danshan, the spiritual energy did not enter smoothly. Everyone waited patiently. Look, the captain's practice seems to be getting smoother and smoother. The people next to him couldn't help but get excited when they saw the spiritual energy entering the opponent's body more and more smoothly. After being injured for such a long time, their practice was stumbling, and their dantian seemed to be leaking. Just like a balloon, if the spiritual energy goes in, it may flow out later. This time they watched it for so long, and the leakage of spiritual energy in the other party in the past few days has disappeared, which shows that this medicine is effective. Great, we are saved, everyone said in a low voice, suppressing their excitement. A muffled groan escaped from the corner of the sitting man's mouth. His face was covered with sweat, and his look of pain could no longer be concealed. What's going on? Didn't you get better just now? Not only the teammates next to him were anxious, but the doctor was also anxious and wanted to go over and take a look at the situation. Shen Yun quickly stopped the person and said, "Don't be anxious yet. I'll take a look at the situation." Shen Yun walked directly to the person and said, "Hold Yuan Yi and stay awake. I will use my consciousness to check the condition of your dantian." Captain Su, who felt like tearing pain all over his body, was confused at first. Hearing Shen Yun's cold voice directly sounded in his mind, he immediately remembered what he was doing and bit the tip of his tongue to stay awake. Feeling a surge of energy penetrate into his dantian, he tried hard to restrain his conditioned reflex to resist. Shen Yun's spiritual consciousness entered the opponent's dantian and found that the original position of the spiritual root was emitting a faint light and was quietly changing. The spiritual consciousness cannot tell what will happen, and we have to wait for the result, but the fusion pill can indeed change the dantian, and this effect can be determined. Shen Yun directly withdrew his consciousness. Don't be anxious, the elixir is effective, and some pain must be endured due to the changes in the dantian. You should also be mentally prepared in advance, Shen Yun said to the anxious people next to him. It doesn't matter if it hurts. We don't have any pain. As long as the person is fine, it's fine. Everyone couldn't help but feel relieved after hearing Shen Yun's words. A group of people gathered in a circle to record each other's situation. This change in spiritual roots lasted 3 days and 3 nights before it was over. When the other person opened his eyes, the person next to him had gone to wipe away the sweat from his side for the 10th time. You can see how painful this medicine is. Captain, you're awake. The person wiping sweat met the other person's open eyes. Wake up. Although the pain seemed to last a century, when he opened his eyes, he felt that his body was lighter than ever before. The water aura in the world was visible to the naked eye, and the effect was even better than when he practiced before. Captain Su, let's do a checkup on you. The doctor next to him was very excited when he saw that the man was awake. This man had been in pain for 3 days, but his face looked better than before. It was amazing. Okay, Captain Su stood up, smiled and nodded to the person next to him, and then followed the doctor for examination. Everyone waited for a long time, and finally the results came. The injury to dantian has been fully recovered. Moreover, it was previously recorded that there were 2 spiritual roots of water and earth. This time, the test showed that only water spiritual roots were present. His qualifications have been improved. This is a very important matter. Not only Shen Yun and the others knew about it, but not long after, the leaders from above came over. Shen Yun distributed the elixir to the remaining dozen people and asked them to find an open space to eat by themselves. Then he, Yan Han and Captain Su entered the office together with the leader. Comrade Shen Yun, you have given us too many surprises. I would like to express my gratitude to you on behalf of our soldiers, the other party said sincerely. You are too polite. They are doing it for the sake of the motherland, so I should save them. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 406. Anyway, this incident is all thanks to you. If you hadn't provided such precious elixirs, it would have been a pity for us brave warriors. Elixirs that are useful are valuable. I'm glad that I can help this time, Shen Yun said with a smile. I have something to ask you. I heard that the spiritual plant used to refine this elixir is very precious. I don't know what kind of spiritual plant it is, so I can't reveal it. We have people look for it all over the country, so that in the future can the strength of more people be improved, the leader thought for a while and asked. He himself is old, but there are still many young and promising young people in the country. If there is such a spiritual plant, wouldn't that be the case? A way to improve national power? There's nothing to hide about this. The spiritual plant is the pure spiritual plant in the Encyclopedia of Spiritual Plants. I've seen 5 of them in the past few years. I used 3 of them this time to make the elixir, and I still have 2 at home to keep, see if it can produce some seeds. The growth cycle of this kind of spiritual plant is very long. It is initially estimated that it will take hundreds of years before it can be used. I have specially set up formations for these spiritual plants, otherwise it will take hundreds of years to use them. Years. Shen Yun directly ignored the few that had not grown in his own space. It would be better if someone could find this thing in the world. It happened that the number of his own space was not large, and he needed to add something. The leader frowned when he heard what Shen Yun said. The quantity was really small, even compared to rare plants. This spiritual plant can refine the spirit melting elixir and improve his qualifications. If the news spreads, he will not wait. If they took action, they would probably be exterminated immediately. In this way, this news should not be leaked out for the time being. We will let our people search to see if they can find this kind of spiritual plant, and then see if it can be cultivated. If possible, then leak the news to avoid it. Just let this spiritual plant disappear from this world. The leader made the decision on the spot. Shen Yun and the others have no opinions on this matter. Shen Yun has indeed not seen it outside in the past few years. She has no idea whether there is such a thing outside. She does not intend to take out the few plants in her own space. When she cultivates them in the future, she still has several more spiritual roots at home. Well, maybe we can improve their qualifications. By the way, I still have one remaining pill here. You can ask someone to take it over and study it to see if there is any substitute for this pill. Shen Yun was not stingy and directly took the remaining pill. The medicine was handed over. There are many strange people in the world. Who knows if anyone can research it? Give me a pill to try. If you don't have it in your hand, you will avoid someone coming to find you later. A dozen people knew it, but Shen Yun didn't believe that the news could be kept secret. It will leak out one day. He took out the only one in his hand. Only these 4 people knew about Lingzi. I believe they are not talkative people. Comrade Shen Yun is really righteous. The leader looked at Shen Yun with admiration. It's a pity that he is not very interested in work for such a good boy, but considering his current cultivation level, he really doesn't have time to spend on worldly things. I will explain this to others when I go back. In order to protect the safety of Comrade Shen Yun and her family, I hope that only a few of us know about this matter today. When the dozens of soldiers outside have recovered from their injuries, Captain Su, please convey this meaning, the leader explained carefully. Don't worry, Captain Su nodded. Their brothers were all saved by Shen Yun. If it weren't for Shen Yun, they would have become urine, and then their consciousness would have dissipated directly in the future, and they would have died quietly, and their bodies would still be alive. The thought of being occupied by the so-called divine envoy made her feel aggrieved. Shen Yun was their benefactor, and they would definitely protect her. Okay, let's go over and see how the soldiers are doing now. Several people left the office directly. The dozen or so people were meditating on the ground in the backyard of the hospital. When they passed by, They saw the spiritual energy rushing towards them crazily. The effect of the practice of the dozen or so people was indeed spectacular. Several doctors and nurses are observing and recording the status of these people. "How is the situation?" Yan Han asked the doctor next to him directly. "It's getting better, the spiritual energy is running smoothly now, and it is estimated that it will be the next stage." The doctor has witnessed how Captain Su's injury healed, and he is very clear about the next steps for these people. As expected, Shen Yun and the others had not stood for a while when a series of muffled sounds came from the people sitting there. When the doctor saw someone wandering around, he quickly ran to the side like Shen Yun and called someone to keep them awake. Although this method is a little tiring, the effect is really good, and these people cheered up again after a while. The time it takes to wake up varies, some take 3 days, some 2 days, and some 4 days. Shen Yun and the others waited there until everyone woke up and checked the results before feeling relieved. The fusion spirit pill is indeed a rare treasure in the ancestors' era. After more than a dozen people, there were 5 single spiritual roots, 6 double spiritual roots, and 1 with 5 spiritual roots who was even more lucky. Although the spiritual roots did not decrease, however, the quality of the spiritual roots has improved. Although it is still far behind Shen Yun's Chaos 5 spiritual roots, compared with his previous cultivation speed, the current cultivation speed can be said to have improved by leaps and bounds. Originally, the strength of several spiritual roots was not the same. Now everything has changed. The other party didn't know his situation, so he made a sad face and lamented that he was a bit unlucky. Be happy. Although your current spiritual roots are a little slower to cultivate than single spiritual roots, you can take more roads than them in the future. I am the 5 spiritual roots. Shen Yun watched the young boy check his spiritual roots. Jen looked like he couldn't laugh or cry, so he went over to comfort him. "Is it true? You really have 5 spiritual roots too?" the young man asked in disbelief. "Of course, I can still lie to you." Shen Yun stretched out his hand and directly used magic to create the appearance of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth on the palm of his hand. This cannot be deceived. Although there are no barriers to practicing magic, if Huo Lingan wants to practice water magic, the possibility is basically very small. As for whether it will happen, Shen Yun has never seen it. The young man's eyes lit up, and he was no longer disappointed that his spiritual roots had not been reduced. He looked a little proud now. Seeing that the results were all good, the leader said a few words and left. He had moved his office here in the past few days and there were still many things to deal with. He hurried away when he saw that everyone was awake. Shen Yun confirmed the effect of the elixir and went directly to find Zhang Min without staying here. Yesterday he came back with 3 young apprentices. Shen Yun asked the 3 of them to go home and see their relatives. This time instead of disturbing the family reunion, she went directly to Zhang Min and handed him the elixir, and she was about to go back. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 407. Zhang Min is easy to find. He is working hard in the office to complete the summary. When Shen Yun passed by, he was so busy that he couldn't even lift his head. "Please find a place to sit for a while, I'll be finished soon." Zhang Min looked up and saw Shen Yun, so he told her and continued to complete the work in hand. Shen Yun sat there and waited, while Zhang Min wrote quickly. After a while, he started writing. He threw away the pen, as if his energy had been exhausted, and sat there looking at the sky. Looking at this state, Shen Yun just wanted to laugh. Those who didn't know better thought that what was in front of him was not a report, but some big monster. "I wrote 5 reports when I got back. Don't laugh. Please let me slow down for a while. My brain is completely drained now." Zhang Min looked at Shen Yun and said weakly. Okay, just rest, I'm not in a hurry." Shen Yun waved his hand, laughing at himself when he should be laughing next to him. Zhang Min calmed down after a while. "I'm good at fighting and breaking up fights, but I'm really bad at writing reports. Except when I was in high school, I haven't written anything with so many words for a long time. I understand, Shen Yun said quickly. She was not good at this either. Here it is, I told you to give it to you last time. You weren't here. You just happened to come back when I came to Beijing this time. If you don't come back, I will give it to your brother. Shen Yun threw the bottle of beauty pills over. Thank you. If you want to auction any rare elixirs in the future, you can continue to contact us. Our family has now set up a new auction, which is dedicated to auctioning some things used for cultivation, such as some spiritual plants. Our family has them. You can, if you need anything, you can tell me and I'll ask my brother to keep an eye on it for you. Jiang Min took the initiative to tell Shen Yun about this. Okay, you also know that the Shen family has an elixir workshop and a weapon refining workshop. We need some rare spiritual plants and materials. If you see them, you can notify them and I will have someone come over to participate in the auction. Shen Yun accepted Jiang Min's kindness. No need to go to such trouble. Our family plans to open an auction house branch in your city. The cultivation school is over there, so you know. Jiang Min briefly revealed the address of their auction house over there. Everything has been selected and it is estimated that it will be put into use next year. That's good. You don't have to travel so far in the future. Shen Yun really didn't expect that the Zhang family's auction house would take a fancy to their place. Compared with the capital city, the economic gap there is still very big. However, in the past 2 years, there has been a rise in cultivation. The city over there is a little more lively because of the cultivation school. That's right, our Zhang family has good vision. If I hadn't come here to be a supervisor, I would have been a business tycoon in the future. I would definitely be on the rich list. Speaking of this, Jiang Min was very proud. If I hadn't been busy writing information or something, he went into business. Little did he know that he would not be able to escape even if he chose this profession. Sure enough, life is all about writing and writing. Okay, rich man, I'll leave the things to you and don't notify me of the auction. After the matter was done, Shen Yun didn't intend to delay his work here anymore. Okay, don't worry, I'll send you the auction money when the time comes. Then I won't be polite and ask your brother to deduct the handling fee directly. Shen Yun explained. Do not worry. The two of them had agreed, and Shen Yun planned to go home directly. After some thought, he sent a message to his 3 apprentices, asking them if they wanted to go back together. After the letter got out, she went back to her home in Beijing to wait. Within half an hour, 3 people came directly and knocked on the door. Master, are you going back? My grandpa and the others want to treat you to a meal. Zhang Ji said first. You guys told Mr. Zhang and the others that I'll treat you to dinner next time. I really have something to do when I go back. This time the demon Chi is going to build electrical equipment, so I need to go over and help. Shen Yun refused with a smile. Okay, but master, we want to stay at home for a few more days, and then we plan to walk all the way back when we go back. We have been studying medical skills for such a long time, and we really haven't had much contact with patients. Thinking about practicing medicine and walking back home, what do you think of our idea? After Zhang Ji finished speaking, 3 pairs of eyes looked at Shen Yun expectantly. Shen Yun looked at the 3 young men with shamelessly tender faces. They were all in their 20s. They had been cultivating in the past few years and had little contact with the outside world. They looked young, innocent, and easy to deceive. Even if they had to treat others with this look, they would be embarrassed. Don't worry, I'm still studying Chinese medicine. Forget it, young people have not been tempered by society, so it is good to let them experience it. You 3 wait, it just so happens that Shen Jian, Shen Xing, and Shen Yu also want to come out to practice. I will ask them to come to the capital to meet you. You guys come together and go out and see each other. Shen Yun directly made the decision to send the 3 members of his family to my younger brother was also arranged, and the exams were all over anyway. Okay, Okay, the three of them agreed upon hearing this. They were often together at home, so when we went out together and there were acquaintances, we felt less anxious. Okay, Shen Yun sent a message directly to those at home in front of them. Okay, you guys get ready in the capital city, I'll ask them to come over and look for you directly. They will probably arrive in the next 2 days. Okay, master, the three of them shouted loudly, which made Shen Yun really afraid that these young men who had never seen the world were being deceived. Divided the talismans he had kept into pieces one by one, and asked him to contact him in time if anything happened, and to send a message to his family the next day. Shen Yun, the apprentice's first time out as a master, felt relieved. Really, he hadn't worried about so many things since he left home. Seeing the three ignorant people leaving, Shen Yun flew directly towards home. The young man doesn't know what it's like to be sad. She still has many things to do, so she won't accompany her. Going directly to the demon Chi, the equipment has been prepared outside the formation, waiting for Shen Yun to come over. Shen Yun said hello to the people and cast a spell to open up the formation. This formation will be open for 3 days. Can it be completed in 3 days? Shen Yun asked the project leader next to him. Okay, I'll bring in more people, this won't be a problem, just do it, and the person in charge immediately started running. Shen Yun went directly into the formation. During this period of construction, she had to stay here to watch in case anything went wrong with the demonic energy. She would be needed for later equipment debugging. At first, the workers were a little afraid of the evil spirit inside, but this time they felt a lot more relieved when they saw Shen Yun standing directly by the lake. My hands stopped shaking and I started working faster. Shen Yun did not stand still. While paying attention to the seal, he began to prepare the new sealing formation that A Yang gave him, planning to wait for the right time to replace it. I didn't forget to send a message to Jin Long. Last time I saw that his father was quite interested in this. Maybe they would be willing to come and take a look at the situation. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 408. Chapter 408, 408, Curious Father. Jin Long's father was indeed very interested, so he directly dragged Jin Long over, who was still refining the true fire of the sun. He had also read a few books in the past few days, but he felt that the things in the book were in the clouds and foggy. They are all different, and their three views are about to be subverted. This time when he heard Shen Yun's message, he immediately encouraged the golden dragon who was refining the true sun fire to come over to the scene to see what was going on. In the next 2 days, Shen Yun saw Jin Long running back and forth under the command of his father, and watched every process. On the 3rd day, they stopped next to Shen Yun. Why did you stop and watch? My dad said these are all finished products. The real technical core is not here, but he has learned almost all the construction techniques, so there is no need for me to follow him, Jin Long said, shaking his shoulders. This is his dad's, to put it bluntly. It's so awesome that everyone knows the core of the technology. Shen Yun looked at the shelves and wires laid out by the workers. There was nothing wrong with what he said. The core technology was indeed not here. It's difficult to understand the core technology. Uncle, you'd better learn it from a book. Shen Yun smiled and said to A Yang on Jin Long's neck. Ao Yang nodded lightly, and the skills were blocked. He knew that some of the secret skills in their clan would not be passed on to others. It was the same. However, recently he has become less interested in this and has become more interested in chemical research. He does not care about these technical blockades. He told me when he came here that I would take him to the bookstore when I go back and buy some books. Jin Long felt a little helpless that he had a father who was very curious. Go ahead, it's not available in the town, just take your uncle to the big bookstore in the city to have a look, Shen Yun agreed. Don't worry, I'll go over and take a look after your work is completed. Jin Long waved his hands and showed no intention of leaving. He directly found a place to sit and started refining the true sun fire. Shen Yun watched him busy with his own affairs without disturbing him. 3 days passed quickly. Everyone gathered around the seal. The formation outside had been automatically closed because the time was up. The equipment has been set up, but the problem is how to access our interface. The person in charge came over to discuss the problem with Shen Yun. Can't we just let the current flow directly into the ground outside like this? Shen Yun didn't understand very well, so he only expressed his previous thoughts. It's not impossible. We can't guarantee how much electricity will go in this way. It may cause a large amount of power loss. Only by connecting point to point can we ensure the accurate flow of current. The person in charge directly explained the reason to Shen Yun. Shen Yun understands this. She looked at the seal in front of her. Once it was opened, the seal would be useless, and the demonic energy inside would inevitably escape in a swarm. By then, it would be difficult to deal with so many ordinary people inside. I'll do this. Jin Long suddenly spoke next to him. Everyone's eyes turned to him. Shen Yun and Jin Long are exposed to similar things. This time he speaks out. It is definitely not that he can solve it, but that his father can solve it. Okay, come here and give it a try. Shen Yun still trusted them very much. Golden Dragon walked over directly and tilted his head slightly. Shen Yun was keenly aware that the dragon's mouth on his neck moved. It seems that my guess is correct. Sister, I will open a hole in the seal in a moment. You quickly put the things you want to put in. You only have one breath before starting, Jin Long solemnly explained to Shen Yun. Okay, don't worry, Shen Yun responded, and then quickly confirmed with the person in charge what he would put in later. The worker next to him looked at the black-red water in the lake and knew that there was nothing good in it, so he felt very panicked. Shen Yun watched as the golden dragon directly mobilized a ball of golden flame, which was somewhat similar to the true sun fire he had just refined, but upon closer inspection, it looked a little different. After the flames came out, he muttered a spell in his mouth, and moved his hands accordingly. He hit the seal with mysterious skills one by one. Shen Yun saw that the seal was slowly shaking, but it did not crack. Until then, the flames hit it, and the seal opened a ring. The moment he saw the ring coming out, Shen Yun immediately took the things he needed, plunged directly into the ring, put it away, set it up, and then walked out of the ring with lightning on his body. By that time, the demonic energy on his body had completely disappeared. Sister, are you okay? Jin Long saw Shen Yun staggering when he came out, and quickly made hand seals to shrink the circle he had just made, and made more than a dozen hand seals in succession to prevent the evil energy from escaping along the equipment. After getting these things done, you will have time to go over and see the embarrassed Shen Yun. It's okay. Thanks to the defensive weapon my uncle gave me, the fire didn't burn me. However, I inhaled a trace of demonic energy when I went in. I've already taken the exorcism pill, so don't worry, Shen Yun said with a pale face. People who have never been contaminated by demonic energy don't know this feeling. Just as the demonic energy entered his body, Shen Yun instantly felt as if his internal organs were being burned by fire. The spiritual energy and demonic energy were fighting directly inside his body. If he hadn't made a prompt decision and stuffed a pill, this would have been impossible. I guess the injury was even more serious. I still underestimated the power of the demonic energy. It looked very calm outside, but as soon as I entered, I realized that the demonic aura was so thick that I couldn't see clearly. As soon as I entered, the demonic aura was like an evil spirit smelling the smell of a stranger. Smell, a swarm of swarms rushed towards me. If I didn't have some cultivation base, I would probably just stay in there. Then you have a good rest. I'll go see if there's anything else that needs my help. Don't move. Jin Long looked at Shen Yun, who was about to get up, and directly held down her shoulders to let her continue to sit there, while he looked towards her alone. Walking towards the person in charge, all the preparation work is now completed, and the only thing left is the debugging work, but there is nothing that needs help. Dad, Why didn't you say it would be dangerous when you just proposed it? After finishing the work here, Jinlong asked A Yang on his neck in a calm voice. Isn't it obvious to anyone with a discerning eye? There is so much demonic energy in there, it must be risky to go in. A Yang can't understand his son's mind. Sometimes he is quite smart, but sometimes he is a bit stupid. Ah. Then you had to remind me earlier. Wouldn't it be better if I went in? Jin Long thought about it, and it was indeed his fault. If you go in, who will stabilize the seal? Do you think it is a simple matter to open a hole in the seal without destroying the seal? Besides, only you have the true fire of the sun, not your sister. This is the only way to deal with this matter, Ye Yang said angrily. It's ridiculous for all these ignorant children to think that demonic energy is a good thing. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 409. Chapter 409, 409, the test was successful. Dad. Okay, I won't tell you anymore. I understand this matter clearly. I have to recover from my injuries. Call me when you go out to the bookstore. Ye Yang didn't want to deal with his stupid son. Who is not selfish yet? What's wrong with being selfish yourself? It doesn't count as committing a heinous sin. You. Jinlong was a little angry, but A Yang didn't respond to him. What's wrong with you? Shen Yun felt much better this time. Seeing Jinlong walking over with a stinking face, he asked curiously, has anyone offended you again in the past few minutes? No one messed with me, I just thought I shouldn't have let you take the risk just now. Jinlong looked at Shen Yun apologetically. Hey, I thought it was something. It's okay, I have to take this risk sooner or later. Besides, if it weren't for you, I would have taken a greater risk. At that time, it will be a matter of opening the seal and releasing the demonic energy. At that time, I will not only have to work in an environment full of demonic energy, but when it is completed, I will have to fly very far to get out of the formation outside. It's not more dangerous. Chen Yun said comfortingly. I just thought it would be fine if I went in. Although Jinlong understood, looking at Shen Yun's pale face, he still felt uncomfortable. Okay, you are the big hero this time. You have fire. The seal I set is so powerful, I will definitely not be able to use my own fire spells, and I need you to do it. Shen Yun smiled and boasted, don't be upset. I won't worry if you go in, I'm my sister. Shen Yun looked at the lowered head and couldn't help but rub it like he did when he was a child. Jinlong was stunned for a moment and did not raise his head. He rubbed Shen Yun a few times and then raised his head when he felt his hand being taken away. You're right, here you go, this is the delicious food I saved, you can eat some to replenish your energy. Jinlong directly stuffed the storage bag he was carrying into Shen Yun's hand, before Shen Yun could refuse. I ran directly to watch them experiment. Shen Yun looked at the pile of snacks that Grandma and Aunt prepared for Jinlong in the storage bag and couldn't laugh or cry. He had grown up and he hadn't seen him eating snacks for a long time. He thought he didn't like them anymore, but he didn't know he was saving them for sneaking. Of food. Pinched a little and ate it, it tasted pretty good. Watching others working, I felt even better eating snacks here. After finishing the food in his hands, Shen Yun put the storage bag away and stood up to look at the situation over there. The electricity has been turned on, and no changes can be seen from the outside. How is the situation? It must not have failed. Shen Yun also became nervous. After spending so much effort, although he knew that the success rate was not high, he saw no reaction and felt that he was not disappointed. The power has just been turned on, it's only been a few minutes, don't worry. The person in charge wiped his sweat and stared closely at the changes inside. Sister, I asked you to rest there. What are you doing here? We are watching over here. Jin Long saw Shen Yun coming over and directly held her arm. Okay, it's not that exaggerated. Shen Yun wanted him to put his hands down, making him feel like he was disabled, but after struggling a few times, Shen Yun let him go. The group of people stood by the seal and waited for feedback from inside. It's probably because of the seal that you can't see inside, someone next to him speculated. No, Shen Yun denied their idea. Although the surging demonic energy inside could not be felt from the outside, the demonic energy could still be seen. There was no movement this time, so it might have been a failure. Sister, don't worry, look over there, there are little electric sparks. Suddenly Jin Long saw something, called Shen Yun, and pointed his hand directly to one side. Shen Yun followed his hand and looked over. It was indeed a weak electric spark. It was not visible at first, but it gradually became more and more obvious, and people around him also saw it. Is this a success or a failure? Let's see again. The person in charge was not in a hurry now. Regardless of whether it was successful or not, the equipment was set up and there was no problem. Even if it failed this time, they could still try different voltages. Hey, voltage. No, we are using high voltage electricity. If there is any movement, it must be more than just a small spark. Is there something wrong with the equipment? The person in charge exclaimed. No problem, you succeeded. The electric spark was consumed when it faced the demonic energy. The demonic energy inside is slowly dissipating. It's just that the demonic energy is too strong, so we can't feel it outside. Originally Now Yang, who planned to close his eyes to recuperate, was still very curious about the results of this experiment, so he secretly observed it, watching Wei Man and others anxiously guessing here, and kindly passed the news to Jin Long, who directly shared it with everyone. Got this good news? Really? Hearing Jin Long say this, everyone felt a little uncertain and immediately asked back, including Shen Yun. Of course it's true, just take a look if you don't believe me. Although Jin Long was sometimes angry with his father, he still trusted his father very much. Jin Long's words gave this sluggish atmosphere a shot of stimulant. Everyone opened their eyes wide and looked inside the seal. Faint electric light kept flashing. The black and red demonic energy began to flow slowly. The demonic energy inside is really decreasing, but it's relatively slow. Shen Yun saw it. Then it's a success. We succeeded. At this moment, not only the workers were excited, but Shen Yun and others were also excited. This was an idea in itself. I didn't expect it to be so successful. It seems that we don't need a few more generations to solve this problem. The people here look weak, but they have quite a lot of ideas. If they are so powerful, they might be able to change their destiny in the future. Yao Yang muttered silently on Jin Long's neck. No one knew what he was thinking, and everyone was happy that this bold attempt was successful. Thank you for your hard work, everyone. So many days of hard work have been in vain, the person in charge said excitedly to the colleagues next to him. This thing is not easy to do. We have to go through the mountains and ridges here, and it took them a lot of time just to pull the line. A lot of hard work was finally paid off. Although most of them were ordinary people, they did a good job. Thank you for your efforts. Shen Yun bowed to the group. This was successful, and the threat from the cultivators was temporarily lifted. Oh, don't be like this. The person in charge quickly helped Shen Yun up. This is our job, if not for our generation, then for future generations. Don't be like this. Listen well to you. You go back and have a rest first. I'll check on the follow-up situation here. Shen Yun planned to stay here for a few more days to make sure that there are no problems with the seals and equipment before going out. Then we will wait outside the formation. If there are any problems, please contact us in time. The person in charge looked at the colleagues next to him who had not eaten lunch and agreed with Shen Yun's decision. End of this chapter. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 410. Chapter 410, 410, he is not fighting alone. Go out and lead these people out of the battle in the severe cold. Shen Yun looked inside the formation and saw that the demonic energy inside was slowly becoming thinner. 5 days later, the black and red color inside the seal had basically disappeared, but the water was still the same as before. Shen Yun looked at it for 2 more days. Basically, there was no change inside the seal. It seemed that a certain balance was maintained. The current was being released, and so was the devilish energy. Shen Yun originally thought that electricity could consume all the demonic energy, but currently it seems that this is not possible unless the current is increased. Shen Yun watched for 2 more days and found that there was no movement and the seal was intact. Directly out of the formation. The person in charge is still waiting outside for feedback from Shen Yun. As soon as he saw people coming out, he immediately ran over and asked, "What's the situation inside?" The electric current and the demonic energy have maintained a certain balance, and the demonic energy has not completely dissipated. I don't know if it will be possible if the current is increased. Shen Yun told the other party about the situation inside, and gave his own guess. The current inside is already the maximum that this equipment can deliver. If the current needs to be increased, it may be necessary to add new equipment. The person in charge thought for a while and said, "This investment is very large. That's it for the time being. Let's think of a way. Anyway, we can maintain a balance now and the demonic energy can't come out. We don't have to worry about too much demonic energy breaking the seal. Let's think of a way later." Shen Yun looked at the embarrassment on the other party's face. Things must be a bit difficult to handle. There is a lot of power generated. If all of it is used here, it will affect the normal life and work of many people. Let's think of another way. Leaving a time bomb here is not a problem. The person in charge scratched his head, and the joy of success in the past few days was gone from his face. Let me tell you the truth, even if you increase the current, it can only destroy the evil energy that appears. As for the source, we don't know where it is at all, whether it is in which lake or in some other world. We don't know. Now the only thing you can do is consume the demonic energy that appears. You have done a good job, and the rest is not your responsibility, but the responsibility of all of us, Shen Yun said seriously. The person in charge looked at Shen Yun silently. Okay, let's work together. I still don't believe that this thing can't be solved. The person in charge was motivated again. Yes, let's work hard together. You haven't had any rest these days, okay? This is a solid pill. Eat it, have a good sleep, and do the rest slowly. Shen Yun smiled and handed one over. Solid pill. Hey, no need, no need, the elixir is too precious, and I'm not a cultivator, so I can't use it. The person in charge quickly waved his hand. Everyone can eat this. Several old Chinese medicine practitioners in Beijing have already tried it. Just eat it and treat it as if it was given to you by a junior. We have a pill shop in our family. This is nothing to me. Shen Yun directly pushed the thing into his hand. The other party wanted to refuse, but Shen Yun was a nascent soul cultivator, so in the end he had no choice but to accept the thing. The person in charge looked at Shen Yun walking away, stuffed the elixir directly into his mouth, and then went over to ask his colleagues to take a break before continuing to work. How are the injuries? Shen Yun went directly to the patrol group where Su Lei and his group were recovering from their injuries. It's almost done. How about it? I heard from Li Gong that your experiment was basically successful and the electricity went in. Su Lei was anxious to know the subsequent results. Yes, the matter of electrification has been completed, but one problem is that the evil energy is now balanced with the electric current. The evil energy is constantly being generated, and the electric current is constantly flowing in, so it is a bit difficult to completely eliminate the evil energy now. It's difficult, only by finding the source can it be completely eliminated. More than a dozen people were silent when they heard what Shen Yun said. They had all suffered from demonic energy and knew that this kind of thing controlled their minds. It was really scary. They had no consciousness at all, even the people closest to them. They can all do it. What is the source? Someone asked everyone's question. I don't know about this either. When it comes to this question, Shen Yun has no answer. No matter what, we are under control now. We work hard to improve our strength. One day we will know the source. Then we will find a way to eliminate the source. Sule is very confident that he will die. He is alive and well now, so there is nothing to be afraid of. He is not fighting alone, and there are so many partners accompanying him. Yes, this statement was recognized by everyone. No matter what, no one wanted to try again and feel as if they were about to be burned. Everyone, let's work together. You still need to watch here. I will go back and practice hard. When my strength improves, these things will not be a problem. If it doesn't work, I will make a seal and seal it for hundreds or thousands of years. It will be powerful by then. There are too many people, but we are still afraid of this evil spirit. When Shen Yun said this, everyone laughed. This is indeed a way. Isn't it sealed inside now? Okay, you have nothing to do but take a stroll and practice more. I'll go back first. Shen Yun said goodbye to everyone and went back to the mountain. At first, I felt that I was practicing slowly, and when the time came, I would naturally level up. Now that things are rushing, I suddenly feel a little urgent. Need to practice hard. Yun Yun, you're back. Your brothers and the others went out. You said you asked them to go out, right? As soon as the second ant saw Shen Yun appearing in the valley, she walked over immediately. I sent a message to them, asking them to go to the capital city with Zhangji and the others. When Zhangji and the others came back, they wanted to practice medicine all the way back. I asked them to go out together and experience it. It was considered as training. Shen Yun explained carefully to the second ant. Oh, that's it? I thought Shen Jian was being urged to run away by me every day, but I didn't know it was true. Okay, Zhangji is a stable kid. I can rest assured if I'm with them. It's better to go out like this and save yourself from being at home every day. It makes my head hurt. If I go out and meet more people, maybe I can find a wife for me. I can't stay in the alchemy room all day long without seeing anyone like his brother did. She felt relieved when she heard what Chen Yun said. She used to not worry about her children going out, but after spending a few days in the town some time ago, she realized that the outside is different now. Many of the newly opened singing and movie shops don't look like they are for good people. I saw many young people going in the town, and I was afraid that some of my own children would go out and cause chaos. Now that I know I'm going to do serious things, I'm not worried anymore. Don't worry, Shen Jian and the others are not random people. As for whether they can bring you a wife back, I can't guarantee that, Shen Yun said with a smile. End of this chapter.